What's up, gamers and fellow guardians? Welcome to a very special episode number 4 of Tower Talk, a live episode of our Destiny-focused discussion video series. By now, you know who we are. I'm Ben, the other end of the microphone. That's Brent. We're here on behalf of Short Pause, of course. Brent, we are nigh, my friend. We are less than we're just over 12 hours away from the release of Warmind, a moment we've been waiting for weeks and months now. The second expansion to Destiny 2. Been a lot of exciting stuff that we've been learning about this expansion over the weeks and months prior. Talk to me, dude. Where you at right now with Warmind being imminent?
Dude, Destiny has been a bumpy ride since its launch. It's been a very bumpy ride since launch, and the Curse of Osiris didn't meet the expectations set by a lot of gamers, and that was really disappointing to some. And the community's just kind of been in disarray since then. But now that Warmind is finally here, and Bungie's making a lot of promises, they're making a lot of claims. Everything they said sounds exciting. We're going to find out if Destiny 2 is going to start making its way to becoming the game that we all want it to be.
I'll tell you what, man. I checked my stats recently, and I'm over 150 hours in Destiny 2 right now. So if they're getting in there and they're making this game better, I'm in trouble. So yeah. So the Bungie's been working on this game in earnest for several months now, implementing a lot of the community requests and the things that the hardcore Destiny community wants to see in this game. A big milestone for them was the Go Fast update a few weeks back. That came out, really fundamentally changed a lot of stuff with the core mechanics of the game in terms of the speed, especially with the Crucible, and just really imparted a sense of power once again to the Guardians on the PvE side of things. So that was really the stepping stone to where we're going to get right now with Warmind. And what we're gonna do here, Brent, is we're gonna get everybody ready for the Warmind release on Tuesday. So we're gonna go through everything that we can expect from this game, everything new. We're gonna touch on some things we haven't had a chance to talk about yet here on Tower Talk since the last time we did an episode. We're gonna talk about everything that you guys can expect with the Warmind DLC and any and everything about Warmind. We're gonna touch on it here as long as I remember going through the course of the show here. So. Man, Bungie released that cinematic trailer, the launch trailer today. Yes. That thing was sexy, man. That thing got me hyped. Watched it several times. I'm juiced. I'm ready to jump in there. We saw a lot of cool things in there that we're going to touch on throughout the show here. But what were you thinking after you saw that trailer? And were you like, I want this now? Like, let me get in here and do some damage? Yeah,
we saw some teasers in that trailer. We saw something that we're going to be battling, and Zavala hinted at it as well. So. That looked really interesting, but man, like I said, it's just more content that we want to play,
Yeah, no, definitely. So let's start there, Brent. Let's start with the story of Warmind 2. So it's no secret that the narrative of Destiny has had its issues. There's been some narrative issues, and I say that in terms of the way that the story's been laid off to us, and the way that Bungie chosen to deliver the particular stories that they've chosen to deliver in Destiny. But that said, Destiny is bar none one of the coolest sci-fi universes that's ever been created. I mean, the universe, the lore of this world is so awesome, and that's why people are so ravenous to get a really quality narrative from Bungie. And we've seen hints of it over the years. We've seen strong narratives in The Taken King. We've seen strong narratives even in something like House of Wolves last year. Even Destiny 2 took a step forward in terms of the way it presented the narrative. Still had issues in my opinion, but there were things that they've worked on. There's things that you've seen that they're doing differently with the narrative here. And the things that Warmind is looking to tackle are things that the community is very interested in. I mean, these are deep-rooted lore issues that we've had a lot of interest in, like the Warmind Rasputin. Who is he, and where does he fit into this? Anna Bray, a long-lost gunslinger that many thought was dead, is alive, and we're going to meet her and find out what her story is all about. This hive just cabal that's been locked in the ice for all these years that's now thawing away, and they're coming to the surface, including Zol, the fabled hive worm god, which we've heard a lot about in the grimoire and in the lore of this game.
Uh-huh.
So to see something like this, I mean, this is a big time enemy that is coming and making its presence felt. So here's a brief synopsis of the story that Bungie's written out. Destiny 2 Expansion 2 Warmind continues your Guardian's journey with an all-new story. Anna Bray, a Guardian long thought lost, searches for a connection to her past, one that could be lost forever on the polar ice caps of Mars. As Golden Age warsats begin slamming into the ice, the glaciers begin to thaw, revealing the core of the Warmind Rasputin and an ancient hive army bent on its destruction. Now free, the hive swarm in service to their god Zol. Help Anna discover her past and destroy the hive's gargantuan worm god before it's too late. And we saw a few previews of that gargantuan worm god, Brent, especially in this latest trailer.
Yep.
They gave us a few little tidbits of this thing and how we're eventually going to battle this at some point. And like I said, if you follow the lore of Destiny, you know that Zol has been mentioned, and just the hive worm gods in general have been mentioned throughout much of the history of Destiny. So it's a very, very interesting part of the Destiny story that I'm really, really interested to learn about, man. Where are you at on the story of Warmind? Does this pique your interest as well?
Oh, yeah, because I've always been interested in the Warminds, especially Rasputin, and we're going to find out a lot about that. But I also like how we talked about in the previous show, how we have this shady corporation that's kind of behind everything as well. We've got the Bray Corporation, or is it Clovis Bray Corporation?
Yeah, Clovis Bray, yeah.
So we've got kind of like that sci-fi trope where you have like the shady, dark corporation that's behind certain things. We're not sure if they're good or bad, and then we get to meet Anna Bray. There's a lot here, like you mentioned, that they're exploring in the lore that was only found in grimoire cards in the past. They're really diving into stuff that people have been curious about since Destiny 1.
Yeah. Speaking of that lore, it's interesting the way that Bungie has approached lore up to the Warmind release here. They actually released a post a few days ago, a very detailed lore post that went into a lot of very interesting details about some of these characters and some of the setup for Warmind. And Christopher Barrett was on there talking about how they want to do some things differently with the lore community and how they approach lore in this game and the tone of it and that kind of stuff. So we saw a little, a big hint of that this week with some of the stuff they did with this lore post. They also released a new issue of their Destiny digital comic, which was a prequel to this, which was actually really good. It's written by Mark Waid, who's a longtime comic book writer, who's an excellent comic book writer. So to see him get in and pen a few pages about Destiny was really, really cool. We see what Anna Bray was up to prior to what we're going to see with the Warmind here. We actually see what she was doing when the light was lost, which is interesting. We see her kind of interactions with the Cabal on Mars. In the ice caps, so it's cool. I definitely recommend reading it. It's got some cool stuff in there for fans of the game. But I want to touch on some of this stuff real quick, Brent, because this to me is what makes Destiny so cool and why I really dig this world. But they released this lore post and they put all of these little hints of some of the things we've been wondering about. So they had 5 distinct sections. One of them was dedicated to Tyra Karn, who's the other Cryptarch. She was a Cryptarch that worked with Saladin and the Iron Lords. So in her section, there was something very interesting that noted, I was correct about Charlemagne existing. So Charlemagne was long thought to be the Warmind of Mars. So Destiny lore and history has often pegged a Warmind for each planet, basically. So it's believed that there's 9 of them. So I was correct about Charlemagne existing, just not about what it was. If we hadn't done that research, we wouldn't know anything about subminds, end quote. So right from there, so Charlemagne, not a full-on Warmind, but a submind of Rasputin, according to Tyra Karn here in her research. In the Apocrypha tab, we learn a little bit about the history of the Hive and their worm gods. Quote, but Akka wasn't the only one with a secret. Zol had a pact with a forgotten child abandoned by its father. The cursed one took a fraction of Zol's power, and in return, Zol took the heart from the child, whose name had been struck from the world's grave. The orphan called life out of death and fed that power to Zol. Now, this is in reference to Nokris, who's a Hive prince who we're going to meet in this DLC, who's actually the brother of Crota and the son of Oryx.
Oh no.
He has a pact with Zol, and he's worships him and gets his power from him. In return, they're kind of working together. So very interesting to see that kind of interplay there. Then we've got some more info from the Cryptarch. Quote, however, there are indications that while that event may have been the Vanguard's first engagement with the Hive, Earth's moon was not the first place the Hive made contact with human settlements. So up to this point, Brent, we've thought that incident on the moon where we originally found the Guardian like laying in front of the door, like that was kind of the remnants of our first kind of encounters with the Hive. Nonetheless, if we accept the data that the Cryptarch is looking into here, then we are looking at an external endothermic event caused by artificial means on a scale so massive that it altered the entire climate of the region. Why would this have happened? Our only source is this Warsat, and if it is to be believed, an invasion of unknown biological entities, including one of massive size, was detected in the region immediately before the event. Could this have been a collapse-era attack with a weapon of unknown origin? So this is clearly in reference to the Hive setting up shop on Mars with Zol as their worm god on here. So I'm curious to know more about how they got here in the first place.
Right.
Zavala had this to say: I know what is on Mars. What is buried beneath that ice is too dangerous to allow back into our world. It doesn't think like we do. It weighs and judges our existence in its ruthless calculations, and we don't even know what the goal is. Once, long ago, it might have been created as a tool to save humanity. It is far more than a mere machine now, and it is broken. When Saladin sealed all the records relating to Siva, he also put a lock on certain data concerning what lies hidden on Mars. We were stumbling around blindly in those days, in the wrong place at the wrong time, calling out to something that could not respond or understand us. And Saladin let it happen because our failures were safer than the alternative. So interesting about this, Brent, like he's not talking about the Hive here. He's talking about Rasputin. Very curious to see if we learn more about that. And then we also see Rasputin mentioning Charlemagne as well as Voluspa, which may be another submind somewhere in the universe here.
Right.
So I just wanted to touch on that stuff because I think the lore of this game is really cool. If you want to jump on to Bungie.com, they have a whole entire lore post where you can read about this stuff. What's your read on this stuff, man? Do you like reading this stuff and learning some of this history about this very cool world that Bungie's created?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've said it before many times, especially on Destiny 1. It was such a shallow experience for the universe that they created. It could have been so much deeper. And this allows us to explore things. Not only is it going to explain things that's going on in Destiny 2, but there's probably going to be a lot of stuff we're gonna witness and be like, oh my God, make connections back to Destiny 1. So this is a really cool way to kind of bridge things together and kind of remind you things, pay homage to certain things. But yeah, it's going to flesh out the universe more. It's going to give us more lore, stuff that we can actually see and experience as opposed to reading in Grimoire cards.
Yeah. I want to see them do more of this stuff. I like the stuff. I really like the comics that they're doing. I'm hoping they eventually publish those in a physical version. I think it'd be cool to get a hardcover version of those at some point. But yeah, I love this stuff. I'm curious to see what else they do with the lore. There's actually quite a bit of lore in Destiny 2. There's a lot of things associated with the items that you pick up in the game. A lot of the adventures explore some of the different lore in the game. So there's quite a bit in there, but I still want to see them do more. I tell you what, man, my ultimate dream for lore in Destiny would be if they could do I don't know what I would call this, maybe like a grimoire mission or something like that. But imagine if there was an item that we had to find. Maybe there's 10 of them, and they're scattered throughout the world. And you go out there and you find each of these 10 pieces. In doing so, unlocks a special mission, like a grimoire mission, where you can actually go back and relive a particular point in Destiny's history. So almost like we did, there's an adventure on Mercury that kind of takes you through Saint 14's kind of history a little bit. So I'm imagining you find all these pieces, you unlock this grimoire mission, you go through this really cool mission that you wouldn't have had otherwise if you didn't find these pieces. Then at the end of that mission, you earn a special legendary that's associated with that particular piece of lore. And then you carry that into the game, and then you play through, and then they can keep doing this. So that's my idea. Bungie, take it, make it happen. I just think that would be awesome.
Yes, it would.
but yeah, I want to see them continue to do stuff with this. I just thought it would be cool to highlight it here because, once again, this particular narrative thread is very important to the Destiny community. So I hope that it's handled with care, and I hope that it's handled in a way that people appreciate.
Mm-hmm.
So moving on from there, Brent, talking about the story, let's talk about the actual destination that we're going to be on, the polar ice caps of Mars. Now, we saw a little clip of a map, and from what we can tell, this seems to be legit. We don't know 100%. Bungie hasn't officially, given us anything in terms of a map in the game. There's some interesting things that we can see on this map if we take a look at it. First off, right off the bat, we see 2 drop zones. So right away, this is a much larger destination than Mercury. And we don't even know if we're looking at the entire map here. There could be 3 or 4 drop zones. Who knows? You could scroll up. It looks like there's a possibility that there's things above and below what we're seeing on the map here.
Right.
But just this one chunk they show us, there's 2 drop zones. So it looks to be a decent size. We also see that there doesn't appear to be any lost sectors on the map, Brent. Doesn't appear to be anything on the map. What's your read on that? Is this just a promotional image, or is there something more to this?
I'm assuming it's a promotional image, maybe it was just an earlier image before the lost sectors were marked on it. But this would play into the thing that I wanted the most out of the lost sectors, and one of the issues I have with them is they're not really lost. When Destiny 2 shows
very
up,
much found.
Yeah, when Destiny 2 dropped, you go to the map and there's the markings on the map. In this area is a lost sector, and I like the idea of the lost sectors, but I also like the idea of exploring and finding these things, finding these places that are hidden away. That's the point of exploring, and it's rewarding when you actually take the time to explore the world they've created. Then you find these lost sectors. I didn't like how the lost sectors showed up on the map. I didn't care for that at all. But there's no lost sectors on this map. Now, I don't know if Bungie would make that change now. Again, I'm going to assume that this is like a promotional thing, or maybe they just didn't have the map done, and maybe this is like an earlier version of the game in its development. But I would love it if it didn't have that or the regional chests. If both of those were not revealed on the map, I think that would just add to the wonder of the world, the mysteriousness of Mars.
Yeah, definitely. I'm with you, man. And I think a really cool way they could do it is it would show up on the map after you found it.
Yes.
You could start dotting the map, and then you can, by process of elimination, figure out what you don't have. So it'd be easier to kind of do a knockout type of a thing with that. But yeah, I'm with you 100%, man. I would like to see them. I know they've talked about lost sectors in the past, and it's something they do want to revisit. I think maybe a heroic lost sector could be at some point in the future where they get like a bigger badder enemy down there that you can go in there and fight once you reach a certain level or something along those lines. But yeah, they need to make them more rewarding, and they need to make them more mysterious, I think, than they are right now. So hopefully that's something that they take a look at maybe in season 4 in the future. The other really interesting thing about this map, Brent, is that a little thing in the bottom right corner there that talks about data collected, 0 of 45, and we have actually some promotional images for the game that have shown these collectibles. They've shown some of them sitting around in the game world. They've also shown several pictures of Guardians actually shooting at them. So it appears that you're going to have to find these and actually tag them with your weapon. So in a few instances, they've shown them, sitting off in the distance. One particular image they showed, the thing was really far away. It was way off the map. You actually had to take out your sniper rifle in order to hit it.
Oh, wow.
So it seems like these things are going to be hidden kind of all over the place. And from what people have mined from this, it appears that these are related to the Golden Age Vault. That's kind of all we know at this point. There's 45 of them. So a prevailing theory right now is maybe you find all of them, you gain access to the Golden Age Vault, and maybe there's a sweet, sweet exotic sitting in there waiting for you. So I mean, something like that would be awesome, man.
Yeah, hell yeah.
We haven't had any collectibles in Destiny 2 yet.
Anything that gets you to explore the world and grind. And I mean, it's not really a grind, but I mean, it rewards you for your time. That's what I want. I want to be able to spend my time doing stuff. I don't care how dumb it is. I don't have to shoot 45 objects on the map. I don't care. As long as there's something at the end waiting for me. That's the point of it. That's what I want to do.
Yeah, that would be awesome, dude. If they put these things all around the map, nobody knows what they do or where to find them. Everybody kind of comes together, finds what they are. Somebody finally opens the vault, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, look what I can get out here!" So that'd I mean, something like that would be super cool. People spent a lot of time in Destiny 1 looking for dead ghosts, looking for Siva fragments. That was a big part of that game, and a lot of it was because it gave people grimoire cards, and they got to learn more about the lore of the game and that kind of stuff. So yeah, if they can impart some of that into Destiny 2, I think that would be a huge win. Very, very curious to see what they do with the collectibles on the map. A few other things they're adding in here for us, Brent. We're of course gonna have some new ships. One of the interesting ships they showed is actually a ship that we've seen in Destiny 1 but never got to possess. So it was that interesting rounded angular ship that was often docking in the tower
Oh
in,
yeah,
in
yeah, yeah.
Destiny 1.
Yep.
Yes, it's that particular style of ship we've never had access to before. Now we'll have access to with the Warmind DLC. Vault space.
Yes.
We are getting 100 new slots, not 50 as previously thought.
Perfect.
So we're getting 100 new slots, and also of interest to longtime Destiny players, we're now going to be able to delete items directly from the postmaster or from the vault.
Nice.
So no longer will we have to go to the postmaster, take an item that we don't want, and then delete it.
Right.
Or go to the vault, take something out of there, and delete it. We can actually delete right from the vault, which is a big time quality of life change.
Yeah, it would suck if you had a bunch of guns and you're like, okay, I got to add this to my character. Then you run out of room. Then you got to go back to you got to leave the vault, go to your character, delete those items, go back into the vault. Yeah, quality of life change, big one right there.
Yeah, for sure. So we're getting that on with this as well. Obviously there's going to be a ton of new weapons, armor, and gear. We've seen some of it, like we've seen the shotgun, the sniper rifle, the submachine gun. It's going to be available through the Escalation Protocol. We've seen some of the new the Warmind armor looks absolutely kick-ass, dude.
Yeah,
I can't wait to get my hands on that. We've seen some Braytech armor as well, which has like a Star Wars snowy kind of vibe to it. So that stuff looks really cool. So we're really curious to get in there and see what else is all in there. But from what we've seen, it seems like there's quite a bit of gear in here.
Yeah.
At least initially from what we've seen here. Also, as part of this, we're getting the emote wheel finally.
Yes.
So you'll be able to customize an emote to each of the directions on the D-pad. Now you won't be locked into the default ones that are on there. And also in the quality of life department, you're gonna have access to your entire emote collection right from your inventory screen. So no more going to the vault or any of that kind of stuff. Everything's going to be on your emote page there. You'll have access to everything: legendary, uncommon, common, exotic, everything. It's gonna be right there for you. So you can put whatever you want on the emote wheel. So that's gonna be really cool. They're also throwing in this prismatic matrix that they're calling it, which is something they're working on in terms of making Eververse a little more digestible for people trying to get exactly what they want from from their cosmetic items in Destiny 2. So the prismatic matrix will feature 10 Eververse items from Season 3 each week it is active. Each item within the prismatic matrix is on a knockout list, which means every player is guaranteed to receive all featured items for a given week by the 10th activation. Earning items via bright engrams, bright dust, or previous matrix activations will also knock rewards off the list. In turn, each activation guarantees players an item that they have never previously acquired. With your first well-rested level up each week, you'll earn a prismatic facet, allowing one free use of the prismatic matrix. Prismatic facets stack up to 3, so make sure you have proper inventory space before earning a rank up on a given week. Players can also purchase more activations for 200 silver each. So it's just a way for people to have a little more control over the Eververse items that they have access to. So take it or leave it. Some people don't care for Eververse. So if you're into that cosmetic stuff, though, the prismatic matrix will help you get through some of that. Brent, as we're going along here, I know you've got your eye on the chat, so if anybody chimes in with anything that you think bears further discussion, feel free to throw it out there.
The first thing I want to mention is I'm going to scroll back up to the chat here. Fanboy Tone on Twitch asks this question: do you think that Warmind, based on what we know so far, could be enough to bring back hardcore Destiny 1 players?
Personally, I do. Because I've already seen a lot of the community getting excited, like over the Go Fast update. There's a lot of people like starting to kind of tip their toe into the water a little bit and get very interested. There's been a lot of positive coverage on Warmind. There's been a lot of people excited about it. Brett, we never stopped playing Destiny, and the Warmind has us absolutely jacked for what's coming in this DLC. I know there's there's some people that are still skeptical out there, but I do believe there's going to be quite a few people that return to this game and see what Warmind has to offer.
I agree with you there as well. I think Destiny 2, like we mentioned, has had a bad rap over the last couple months, but it's every time they release an expansion, it just reinvigorates the Destiny community. Like they're ready to go, they're ready to play again. They want to jump back in. They want to see if this game is what they want it to be. So I do anticipate that a lot of the D1 players will be back. They'll want to check it out, see what changes have been made, see if it's more to their liking. Whether or not it goes over well, we have no idea. But I do think you'll see a rush back from Destiny 1 players, whether or not they stick around. I'm sure they'll voice their opinions, and we'll hear from them at some point. But no, I do think it will bring a lot of people back in the short term. Whether or not it keeps them around for the long run, that remains to be seen. And then the other comment that we got here from Jacob, he's in the chat. He said, "I hope the new boss fight in this one will be worth the time and not a 5-minute snack time break like Gaul." And you could even say the boss fight in Trials of the Curse of Osiris was relatively short as well. I mean, it was grand in its spectacle. It was huge, but it was very, very short, very, very brief, and very, very quick, especially with 3 people. And that's another thing I want to mention too. I really hope when we play through the story here in Warmind, I hope it's a challenge when you have a fire team of 3 people. Because we plowed through the Curse of Osiris relatively quickly without much challenge at all. In the light level, the power level was rising with us, but it was just never really a challenge. So that's another thing I really hope we see. I hope there's a challenging campaign here.
I agree, and we've talked about this before, but I wish they would have put like a heroic version of the campaign for people that are already at the light level.
Yep.
Like when we're gonna come into Warmind, we're all gonna be 335 max level. Everybody's not going to be that. Everybody's not going to be at 335, and that's okay. They can play through the campaign on the normal setting, enjoy the story, enjoy the missions, and go through about their day. But to those of us that play this game every single day and that are really invested in it, I really wish they would give us a bigger challenge right off the gate. So I wholeheartedly agree with you. How we plowed right through Destiny 2 in general. And Jacob's 100% right. Gaul was such a disappointment. I mean, he was built up as this really, and he was an awesome villain. Like he had a great motivation. He was just a really cool villain for the Destiny universe, and the payoff just wasn't there.
No.
In Curse of Osiris, while the last battle wasn't challenging per se, I do like the mechanics of it.
Yeah,
it was fun. Yeah.
It was just over way too quick.
Wasn't challenging. Yeah, it just wasn't challenging. It is super cool though. If you haven't played through to the end of Curse of Osiris, definitely recommend it. That last battle is pretty neat. But yeah, dude, definitely. I would love to see more of a challenge from the campaign. I've been begging for that for a while now. Don't know if we're gonna get it with Warmind. Don't know how challenging it's going to be. That's one of the things that people are worried about with the campaign, Brent. Now we might as well talk about this now. But with Zol, so with Zol being this hive worm god, who, like I said, has been a legendary topic in the lore for a long time. Like people are expecting this to be a pretty substantial battle. So this is a dude that's been talked up for a long time now. So now that we're finally getting to come face to face with this thing and compete against it, many are hoping that we see either like a Skolas or Oryx type of a situation where we play through the campaign, we face Zol in some respects. Obviously, you have to have Zol in the campaign.
Right.
That's kind of the whole driving force. But then we can really like officially battle Zol and vanquish him for good in the Spire of Stars raid lair. Right. We can get him as the final boss in the raid lair, or maybe he's even one of the rotating bosses in the Escalation Protocol, and he's a special boss that that you fight maybe at the 5th week or whatever. You fight an enhanced version of Zol, or even something like that would be cool, based on what we've heard about Escalation Protocol and the challenge that's going to present. So we just hope that whatever we get out of Zol, we get something really cool out of it. So if he is the only campaign boss and that's all we get to do, I just hope it's really epic and it's really challenging and it's worthy of a hive worm god, So we'll have to see what becomes of that. But speaking of all that, I wanna touch on something here too, Brent. And this is gonna go back to Tone's comment regarding bringing people back to the community. One of the things the community's been asking for is a return back to some of this stuff that we got in Destiny 1, like these secret exotic quests and hidden secrets that are all over the world and that kind of stuff. Polygon put out a pretty cool article recently. It was actually today. That kind of ties up a lot of the secretive stuff that people have been talking about that they think is being hinted at with Warmind here. And I love this stuff, so I want us to talk about it.
Sure.
So part of what made Destiny so special, I'm reading from this article here, was its host of obscure quests and difficult to reach rewards. And we've talked about this a lot, Brent. Stuff like the Black Spindle quest. I remember when that thing showed up, people were going gaga about this super cool hidden mission that was ultra challenging. To this day, we still have not beaten the Black Spindle quest. So either that's sad or just a indication of how challenging that event is.
I'm gonna go. It's sad.
Yeah, it's probably all of the above. Yeah, but stuff like that, or like you remember when the Sleeper Simulant quest was coming along, and that was kind of being doled out. Obviously, the Outbreak Prime, the insanity that was a part of that
Outbreak
quest.
Prime was incredible. That was amazing.
Yeah, I mean, just the depth that some of these exotic quests got into. So people have been missing that with Destiny 2. So each new expansion came with a new hidden gun behind some mystifying secret, almost unreachable without community participation. This is obviously in reference to Destiny 1. This was shockingly absent from Destiny 2 in its first expansion, Curse of Osiris. Warmind isn't even out yet, but players are already hunting screenshots for all sorts of secrets. From a gear perspective, there are a lot of unanswered questions for players. The item that everyone seems to be looking for is Sleeper Simulant, the aforementioned Sleeper Simulant, which seems to be returning in the latest expansion. However, there are several other unsolved mysteries lingering inside Warmind. So I don't know if you've noticed this, Brent, but on this promotional image for the game, there's a Guardian which appears to be holding the Sleeper Simulant. It's a dead ringer for Sleeper Simulant, right down to the blue laser inside the gun there. So Sleeper Simulant was an extremely popular fusion rifle in Destiny 1. It was a heavy fusion rifle. It was so unique, and it was really a tent pole in a lot of people's raid runs and taking out bosses. Like Sleeper Simulant was a big deal. So the fact that this could be showing up, and the fact that Bungie, they know what they're doing. Like when they put this guy in the video, they know that when people see him holding the Sleeper, they're going to get people talking about it. So I think it's a safe bet the Sleeper's in your summer, maybe in that Golden Age vault we talked about.
Possibly.
I don't know. We know about two exotics that don't seem to be attached to the exotic engram loot table. These were just unveiled today in the Warmind trailer. The Polaris Lance Scout Rifle and the newly announced, if I could talk, Worldline Zero Sword both feature in the latest trailer for Warmind, but nobody's quite sure how to get them. The Polaris Lance is very clearly the same weapon used by Anna Bray, the NPC protagonist of Warmind. How it ends up in the hands of players is something that dedicated Destiny fans will have to find out for themselves. However, players already know that what this weapon does thanks to some gameplay from PlayStation. Every 5th precision shot grants players a delayed explosive round burning the enemy target. So that's a part of the scout rifle. The Worldline Sword Zero Sword, which, by the way, I mean, seriously, that thing looks badass.
I think that's what Jacob is talking about in the chat. He goes, "What do you guys think of the new exotic sword with blink?" Yeah.
I mean, we see the Guardian go invisible, and he's doing this spinning attack.
Yes.
Looks like he's wielding some type of arc energy. Yeah, that thing looks awesome. The combo that he did before that too. It was like a 3-hit combo that was different than the other swords that we have. So if this thing's anything like what they showed in the trailer, like, let me get my hands on this like tomorrow. The Worldline Zero Sword, on the other hand, is a complete mystery. Until the final trailer for Warmind released, players had never seen this sword in action and had no concrete evidence of its existence. Unlike the Huckleberry submachine gun, which we've seen, the Worldline Zero Sword wasn't announced alongside Warmind, leading players to believe that acquiring it won't be as simple as a lucky drop. On a more legendary front, there's also a mysterious energy hand cannon floating around the Destiny community. Now, I don't know if you caught this in the trailer, Brent, but in the Warmind reveal stream, Bungie showed off a Warmind-styled submachine gun, sniper, and shotgun, which we talked about, all of which will drop from the final bosses of the expansion's new mode, Escalation Protocol. However, the hand cannon, which has also been confirmed, is suspiciously missing from that list. A Destiny 2 community member, user GetSwift on Reddit, took a question about this new hand cannon to the Destiny 2 subreddit, asking, "Are you, Bungie, allowed to tell us where you get the hand cannon?" User Daniel Out, also known as Daniel Oceanpaw, reward designer for Destiny 2, responded, "Not Escalation Protocol bosses." said Ocean Paw.
Hmm.
We don't want to spoil everything for people. So a few interesting things here, Brent. I saw that hand cannon in the trailer, and I looked at it, and I was like, wait a minute. I don't remember them saying anything about a hand cannon, a Warmind hand cannon.
Uh-huh.
So once again, Bungie knows what they're doing. So when they put these little things out there, they know people are going to rip apart these videos piece by piece. They're going to pick up on this stuff, and they're going to talk about it. So this is a Warmind weapon that we don't get from Escalation Protocol. Where do we find this one? I don't know. We're going to find out.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It also makes me wonder, is there a whole entire Warmind set?
Right.
Exactly. Might there be a scout rifle or an assault rifle down the line that we find as well? Gets you thinking. So continuing on, Destiny players are even gleaning secrets from the in-game map. A user on the Destiny subreddit, Dictatus Nordic, posted the supposed map for the Hellas Basin, which we've already talked about. The new location in Warmind. In the bottom right corner is a familiar sight for Destiny players, a collectibles counter. Destiny 2 was missing the global collectibles that Destiny had on Mars. It looks like players will be recovering data. If this is anything like the calcified fragments in Destiny the Taken King, this could lead to a very powerful, exclusive exotic for hardworking collectors. The calcified fragments led to the Touch of Malice in Destiny 1. There are also a number of lore mysteries surrounding this expansion. First, the Hive Prince Nokris, brother of Destiny baddie Crota and son to Oryx, is one of the bosses in one of the new strikes. With the return of Oryx's family, players are wondering what could be on the horizon for the Hive royalty. When coupled with the long-awaited appearance of a Hive worm god Zol, lore enthusiasts will have a lot to go off of. So that's just a summary of all the kind of mysterious things right now that are going out with the Warmind DLC, and why I think that some of this kind of stuff is going to be imperative to bringing the Destiny hardcore back as well. Because none of this was existent. We weren't talking about this stuff with Curse of Osiris.
Nothing like
we're,
this.
We're talking about this with Destiny 2. When you see this kind of stuff, Brent, as a longtime Destiny fan, how's it make you feel?
Dude, that's right now I just play Wednesday night with you. But with this kind of stuff, knowing this kind of stuff is out there, I'm gonna want to hop on Tuesday night. I'm gonna want to skip the Tuesday night indie spotlight. I'm like, sorry, dude, I'm not watching it. I'm jumping into Destiny 2. I got to find something on Mars. I want reasons just to go in there and search for stuff and find stuff and be one of the first to find a certain weapon. I mean, that just is so appealing to me, and I know that's appealing to a lot of Destiny fans. That's stuff we want.
Yeah, definitely. So there's but stuff like that stuff gets me going, man. I love this kind of stuff in Destiny. Even when we were talking about stuff like Fortnite and the comet, flying around, all that kind of stuff. Like I love this kind of stuff in these games. So to see that, to see these mysteries that people are talking about, and a lot of times, Brent, when there's a mystery in Destiny, like it eventually becomes something. Right. Very rarely were people pontificating on Destiny 1 and something didn't eventually become of what people were talking about. Right. So very interested to see the secrets of Warmind and if this is indeed the case. Because Bungie's actually been talking about that too. They've been talking about they put more secrets into this game. They know people want this kind of stuff. So I love that we're seeing this in the early going with Warmind here. Hopefully it bears fruit. Now, speaking of this, Brent, the next thing that the Warmind is going to bring us is Escalation Protocol. And I mean, you just mentioned it there, dude. With the story, with what we're going to talk about with the Crucible, with Escalation Protocol, with the other milestones that we do on a weekly basis. Destiny going to consume far more than just Wednesday nights moving forward. We're going to have to publish a schedule to be able to keep up with all this stuff. But Escalation Protocol, dude, if this is not our most anticipated part of this DLC, I'm not sure what is. But Escalation Protocol, 7 waves of increasingly difficult enemies. We actually got to see some glimpses of some of the bosses that we're going to encounter in the trailer that came out today. So Bungie once again teasing that little carrot there. We saw a vicious looking ogre and some giant knight that was patrolling the map here. So I imagine those are boss characters we'll be facing at some point. Talk to me about Escalation Protocol, dude, and talk to me about the Valkyrie, that javelin that we're gonna get a hold of and just wreck people with.
Yeah, first of all, the Valkyrie looks like just looks epic. Like everyone's gonna be fighting to get a hold of that thing. Everyone's gonna want to wield the Valkyrie. But no, the idea behind the escalation protocol is just so appealing to me because it's a horde mode. You're gonna have to work not only with your fire team but with randoms because it's it's whoever's available in the area. I think you said it's capped at 6 or 7 people in that area. You jump in there and you just take on wave after wave. There's no way to plan with anybody unless you're just your fire team and whoever you join with that's wandering around the area as well. But this is something that we've been missing. We've been missing a Prison of Elders type of event where you want to get in there and do your best and try to beat it and get the highest score and get the best gear from it. We haven't had something like that. We haven't had an Archon's Forge. We haven't had a Court of Oryx. Now we're going to have that one mode, and it sounds like it's going to be hard as hell, and that's what we want. We want a challenge. We don't want to just jump in there, because if you just jump in there and you beat it right away, it's going to lose its luster way too quick. But if you go in there, get your ass kicked a couple times, and realize, look, we got a plan for this. We got to make sure we have the right weapons, we have the right gear, and get into it. And the fact that we're going to have 5 different bosses that are going to rotate weekly, each of them, and each of those bosses has gear specifically tied to them. So we're going to want to get in there and play that every single week. And there's no guarantee you're going to get a win. And Bungie has mentioned this is a terribly challenging event. And that, dude, I'll play that all day long, all night long, every single day. We've been waiting for a mode like this where we're going to want to really grind.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't wait for it, man. Yeah, you mentioned the 5 different bosses, just getting in there. And from what I understand, it sounds like you'll be around 350, 355 when you finish up the Warmind campaign if everything goes as planned. This activity, I believe, is the minimum, or the recommended is something around 370. I mean, this is an end game activity.
Yep.
Like they want people at the end of Destiny 2 playing this activity. So right away, once you finish up the Warmind DLC, this is going to be extremely challenging if you do take part in the escalation protocol right off the bat. So I imagine once we finish Warmind and we get our first taste of escalation, we're probably gonna get our asses handed to us relatively quickly. But from there, we'll keep trying to build ourselves up and see what becomes of it. But
and Jacob just mentioned in the chat, he goes, imagine the grind to 380 just to do escalation protocol and still get wrecked. I mean, that's what we really want. Prison of Elders was no joke. Even at the highest light level, Prison of Elders would work you hard if you weren't ready, if you didn't bring your A game. And that's what we want from something like this escalation protocol, something where it's not just going to, I'm max level, I can go in there and just wreck stuff. You want the ultimate challenge. You want a Nightfall type of difficulty, something that's very, very challenging to keep you coming back.
Yeah, dude, when you played the level 41 prison, you were in for a challenge on a weekly basis. And when you played Skolas, still to this day, one of the most challenging things I've ever played in Destiny, or in a lot of games. The Skolas Prison of Elders was incredibly difficult, super difficult. I mean, to the point where you would just throw your controller down and just quit. It was that difficult. So, so people are clamoring for that kind of stuff. But man, when you completed the prison, you felt really good about that. And I imagine you're gonna have that same feeling when you do best escalation protocol. Really, really looking forward to that, man. That is the crown jewel of Warmind in my mind, is as far as I'm concerned right now. So moving on from there, the next thing we're going to talk about, the strikes coming to Destiny 2 Warmind. Obviously, what's Destiny without strikes? A big part of the game. So we're getting 3 new strikes, Brent. One of them is a PlayStation exclusive strike. The first strike we're going to talk about, Strange Terrain. This is the one that stars Nokris, who's the son of Oryx and the brother of Crota. Very interested to see how this plays out and where Nokris fits into all this, and if it's somebody that we're going to eliminate at the end of this strike, or if he's going to play a role in the Hive story moving forward. But descend deep into the tunnels underneath Hellas Basin and take the fight to the Herald of Zol. Stop this Hive Prince before he can funnel more power to the Worm God. And they've shown a few brief snippets from this strike that looks really cool. Then we've got Will of the Thousands, which is a Rasputin-themed strike. Rasputin's neural network is under attack. Take the Valkyrie, so we're going to be able to use that outside of Escalation Protocol. Take the Valkyrie and use it to defeat a monstrous foe. The PlayStation exclusive strike is called Insight Terminus, and its description is as follows. Zavala needs a team of Guardians to break into a Vex tomb on Nessus that has been overrun by the Cabal. Defeat the powerful Scion commander before you can take over the Vex Gateway network and reap the rewards. And in the little the promotional image, we see that Scion commander like in that Vex Gateway ascending to maybe some type of a new form or new power level. So that looks cool. There's also going to be some exclusive armor sets for PlayStation gamers as well. So be on the lookout for those. Some of those look kind of cool. The Titan one in particular has like a samurai look to it, which I think looks pretty neat. Brent, what's your read on these strikes, man? I mean, just excited to get some more strikes.
Oh yeah, I mean that's always how I feel about strikes. Just more strike missions. Those will get rotated into Nightfall, so it just extends that content for those modes.
Yeah, and I think that's key right there too. So these will eventually become Nightfalls as well, and with Nightfalls comes Nightfall rewards and the new challenges and things that you're going to be able to. Bungie has talked about all the Nightfalls are going to have their own specific loot now, so these are going to be added into the mix with that. They're going to have their own new things that you're going to be able to go in there and get. So exciting to think about what they're going to do with that. I do hope that with the Warmind DLC that these strikes are separate from the campaign. At the end of the day, I didn't like how the strikes were part of the Curse of Osiris campaign. It felt cheap. It felt like they just took a big part of the game. Like normally when we would get an expansion, we would get a campaign and we'd get strike missions. But when they put those into the campaign, and when we finished it up, we realized what the actual strike was. It was a huge part of the campaign was those 2 strike missions.
Right.
So it's like I feel cheated because we didn't get any new strikes. We just got the stuff that we played through in the campaign. Now, granted, those strikes are pretty cool. I actually do really like the Curse of Osiris strikes. But, yeah, would have liked to seen some exclusive content in the campaign. I hope they do that with Warmind. Do you feel similar about that?
Yeah, I didn't care for it because, like you said, it just feels like I don't want to say lazy, but I feel like that's just a cheap way to extend the campaign. I want strikes to be separate. If you want to go through the areas of the strikes that are going to take place, that's fine. That's one thing. But no, I don't want the actual strike just kind of molded into the story.
Perhaps even more interesting is what they're going to be doing with heroic strikes and Nightfall strikes in Season 3 here, Brent. This also starts on Tuesday. So in Season 3, this is Dan Oceanpaw, who we mentioned earlier. In Season 3, we've increased the baseline difficulty of heroic strikes to make combatants more aggressive and make the experience feel more, heroic. And that's awesome because every time I play through the heroic list, it's fun. It's a good time, but it's not really that challenging. Like it doesn't feel very heroic playing through the heroic strike list. It's not terribly difficult.
Right.
So additionally, at any given time, the heroic strike playlist will have 3 modifiers on it. 1 burn, which rotates weekly, 1 advantage, which rotates daily, and 1 disadvantage, which also rotates daily. So in the burn category, obviously we have Arc, Solar, and Void. These will increase the damages of those elements by 25%, both outgoing and incoming. So the typical burns that we've come to know and love from Destiny. The advantages that are going to rotate: Brawler, double melee recharge rate and damage; Grenadier, double grenade damage, recharge rate and damage, and double grenade ability recharge rate and damage; and Heavyweight. How about this one, Brent? Triple power ammo drop rate, double power weapon damage. that one's gonna be fun. Man. The disadvantages that are gonna rotate, these are brutal. Glass. Players' health and shields are halved, but recharge rates are doubled. Curious to see how that one plays out. Blackout. Radar is disabled and enemies do 20 times increased melee damage.
Wow.
Iron. Enemies no longer stagger and health pools are increased by 50%. And Grounded. Players take 5 times more damage while airborne.
Jeez.
What do you think about this, Brent? This is something that the community has been clamoring for. Like, they want the modifiers back in the heroic strike list. So not only are we getting more challenging heroic strikes, we're getting these rotating modifiers that are going to change the way we play every week. You on board for this?
Oh yeah, more variety. That's one thing. One of the milestones is 3 heroic strikes a week, and like you said, man, you can get done with that in 45 minutes. But if it's harder, it's more difficult, it's more challenging, it's going to take longer to get through, and I'm totally down with it. I want a challenge, and that's what they're adding to this. We're getting the Escalation Protocol, we're getting the changes to the heroic strikes, where we're going to have these modifiers that are going to be rotating in, making things more difficult, requiring you to plan, requiring you to strategize with your team. I'm down for all that stuff, dude.
Yeah, definitely. Also of interest with strikes, Brent, is this legendary Nightfall challenge card. So right now, so we now know what they mean when they have that Nightfall challenge card on the roadmap. We've seen it on there for a while now. We're like, what does that mean? What are they doing with these. So they're actually upgrading, because right now the challenge card we have in our inventory is a rare item. With the legendary Nightfall challenge card, players will now be able to take their rare card to Zur and upgrade it to a legendary challenge card. Doing so adds more customization options to the card. Legendary cards allow you to select one burn, one advantage or disadvantage, and 2 additional disadvantages. With the exception of glass, all other advantages and disadvantages listed above from heroic strikes can be applied to the new challenge card. Additionally, there are a few disadvantages unique to legendary challenge cards that you can select. Extinguish, return fire team to orbit on a wipe. We know all about that one. So we've been abusing Extinguish and on the challenge card so far. We've still yet to beat that damn Prestige Nightfall. Famine, ammo drops reduced by 50%. Good grief!
Wow,
that just sounds.
Dude, there's been enough times where I'm like, God, can I get some more power, or can I get some more energy ammo, or kinetic something, please? I mean, I felt it was low enough as it was.
Seriously, I don't even know how you play through a mission with that one. Match game. Players must match their damage type to the enemy shield type. So we talked about that on a recent blog Bungie post. So excited to see that one coming back. That one's fun. Attrition. Health regen is slowed greatly and enemies drop health orbs. Interesting. And momentum, my personal favorite. And by personal favorite, I mean the one I hate the most. Health regenerates only when the player is moving.
I always forget about that one. I always forget that I'm not moving. Why am I not healing? Like, oh crap, I'm not moving. And then you got to run out in front of 3 Minotaurs and it's over.
Yeah, that one's a total pain in the ass. They're also, with these new changes, they're upping the reward tiers for the Nightfall scores. So they're now going to be 30, 60, 110, and 200 are going to be the 4 different tiers. Before it capped out at 80 as the highest tier. So quite a bit different now with these Nightfall updates. Brent, are we finally going to get in and complete a Prestige Nightfall?
That's the plan. We tried it a couple weeks back with Corey, our buddy Corey from the Sandbox or SideQuest Sandbox SideQuest podcast. But it was just it was brutal. It was really, really bad. But we got to get in there and start knocking these out, dude. Because I mean, the Nightfalls, the base Nightfalls are just not they're challenging, but we get through those relatively easily. So I think it's only time that we graduate to the Prestige Nightfalls.
Yeah, we got to start playing with the big boys. We're all at max level. We should be able to get in there and complete a Nightfall. I mean, this is like the basis of Destiny. We should be able to get in there and do a damn Nightfall. So it's going to happen. Season 3 is going to be our crowning achievement. It's going to be our coming out party. We're going to get in there. We're going to do some prestige activities. And we're going to be victorious, damn it. Mark my words. All right, now, Brent, quite possibly, maybe even inarguably, the most exciting thing that's coming to Season 3 of Destiny is what they're doing with exotic guns. And something we have not had a chance to talk about on Tower Talk yet is this idea of the exotic masterwork. And we've learned a lot more about how these are going to work and what these are going to entail over the last couple of weeks. I'm reading from Bungie. Our goals in extending masterwork perks and mechanics to exotic weapons are primarily to create new in-game goals for hobbyist players and reinforce specific activities with these long-tail pursuits, which is what all of us longtime fans want to hear. There were a few problem spaces that we wanted to address when creating the exotic masterwork pursuit. First up, exotics in Destiny 2 are very easy to acquire. Many players have most, if not all, of the non-quest exotics, as we don't want to make players re-earn every exotic weapon. Exotic masterwork acquisition and progression needed to take place after acquisition. Additionally, we need to figure out a player-friendly way of representing the process of obtaining and applying an exotic masterwork. The milestone tray doesn't provide a good flow for every exotic masterwork, and bounties are planned for summer, as noted in our recent updated development roadmap. Can't wait to see what those entail. So with these goals and restrictions, we landed on the following player experience. So Brent, there will be 1 exotic masterwork per exotic weapon that exists so far in Destiny 2. In order to begin the masterwork process, players will have to find an exotic masterwork catalyst. When inspecting the exotic, there will be a hint at what activities can grant the catalyst for that weapon. Not all exotic masterworks have the same drop rates. Some exotic masterwork weapons are guaranteed after a certain amount of engagement, while others are earned at random. So this is an interesting distinction here that people need to realize. So some exotic catalysts will just drop after you do, let's say, 10 strikes. Do 10 strikes, you'll get the exotic masterwork catalyst, then you can work on finishing off the weapon. Some of them will be at random. So maybe they'll be enhanced by doing a certain activity or If it drops in a Nightfall, maybe you hit a specific score and it doubles the chance that you get the drop or something along those lines.
Right.
So they're not going to tell us how any of these are earned. It's all going to be up to the community to figure out how that works. So that's cool. So like they have a picture of the Cold Heart on here, and with as an example, the Cold Heart catalyst says found in strikes against the most challenging opponents. Another one we saw was I don't remember which gun it was, but it said I think it was the Huckleberry maybe, where it's found in adventures against the most challenging heroic opponents or something like that. But clearly, like heroic adventures are where you would find that catalyst. So clearly, from this, either heroic strikes or Nightfall strikes are going to be where you get the Cold Heart catalyst. Once acquired, the catalyst can be applied to immediately enable orb generation on double kills for the weapon. So this is important. So once you get the catalyst, pop it on your gun, you'll start getting those masterwork orbs that we've come to know and love from our legendary weapons. Exotic weapons with a catalyst applied will also start tracking enemies defeated like their legendary masterwork weapon counterparts. After applying the catalyst, there will be a bounty-like objective available that needs to be completed in order to upgrade to the final masterwork state, which will apply stat perk bonuses to the weapon. And some of these stat perk bonuses are absolutely absurd. Like we know that a fully masterworked vigilance wing will be full auto. Ugh. A full auto vigilance wing, which is already just an absolute beast. That thing will now be full auto, so no need to worry about how fast you can pull the trigger now. Just let that baby ride.
Oh man.
Crimson will be updated with its masterwork active to a full range stat. So that is a hand cannon that's going to be receiving a significant buff in this update, and it will now have max range to eviscerate enemies with. And it goes on and on and on from there. So it's going to be really cool. The Cold Heart gets a substantial boost to stability and reload speed. I mean, substantial. So it's going to be very interesting and really fun to get in here, find the catalyst, find out what changes with these guns and what we can look forward to. I absolutely can't wait for this, Brent. What's your read on Exotic Masterworks, man?
You know, I like the fact that they're not telling people, and it sounds like it's going to take a while to unlock these catalysts. I mean, obviously, the hobbyists, the people that are playing all day, will get it quicker than some, but this isn't something that everyone's just going to have all these catalysts. They're not going to have all these masterworks. It's going to take a while for the community to, like, really fill out their vault full of exotics that have these catalysts and that are masterworked. But I like the fact that they're all tied to, like, different events, little things, you know, do heroic strikes or go do heroic adventures. Now I have a reason to do the heroic adventures. I seriously never do heroic adventures, but now you're going to have a reason to, especially if it's tied to an exotic that you really enjoy using, that you want to max out and masterwork it. So I think it's really clever because these guns look insane when they're masterwork. Some of the perks and the abilities that you're talking about are going to be nuts. But again, that's just going to keep people grinding and keep people going and playing different modes that they might normally not play.
Yeah. So I think that's important to note. So this exotic masterwork process is in addition to all of the other crazy buffs they're doing to the exotic guns. Yep. So these guns are changing in so much that a lot of these guns are going to be brand new weapons. Graviton Lance is a brand new weapon. The Graviton Lance we're going to get tomorrow is a completely different gun than the Graviton Lance I have in my inventory right now. Like these are substantial changes to these weapons. Fighting Lion is going to be a completely different grenade launcher tomorrow than it is today. So they are really getting in here and completely changing the landscape of exotics. And by that same token, they will be completely changing PvE and completely changing PvP by what they're doing with these exotic guns. And it's going to be really fun to see the community come together and figure out what the new meta is for these guns and which guns everybody's gravitating towards. And if we see a wide variety of exotics in the Crucible, or if it's just a couple that the community settles on, like Vigilance Wing right now, it's going to be exciting to get in there and kind of see how this all works out and to see people discover the best ways to use these things in PvE. Like Tractor Cannon, that thing's going to be a very useful tool in PvP, but PvE, I mean, you can letting that thing loose and then just eviscerating a boss with void damage. I mean, that's going to be super useful. So it's just going to completely change the way we play. And I love this masterwork idea because, like Bungie said, it's very clever. everybody already has these exotics, and they're already changing those, so they can't really make you pursue that same weapon again. Like they
Right.
can't be like, hey, go find Cold Heart again. Like, you already have it. So what they've done, I think, is a really clever solution to this with this masterwork process, having people find the catalyst, having people activated on there, and then going through some type of an objective or a bounty, an exotic type of a bounty to get this thing fully active. It brings back the grind and the pursuit for these exotic guns that you already own. So it's putting like a whole new spin on these kind of mini exotic quests for all this stuff. And some of these are going to be difficult. Like it says here, a few masterworks will require you to do a single thing, while others will have multiple steps.
Yep.
These objectives will vary in difficulty and length, but will not be determined by RNG, which is interesting. The goal for these objectives is to push the player to engage with the weapon that they wish to make into a full masterwork. When it comes to difficulty, there are a few exotic masterworks paired with difficult activities or accomplishments in-game. We're expecting that there may be one or two exotic masterwork weapons that give players the opportunity to set goals in mastering specific activities in order to earn their most desired masterwork. What do you think about that, man? Might they tie something to trials?
I mean, I'm sure there will be something tied to trials. I mean, it seems like every mode, they're going to try to get everything involved. They're going to want to get everything involved. And if it means I got to go into trials to get an exotic catalyst, then I guess I'm going to have to make my way into trials. I mean, I can't guarantee I'm going to do any good. Hopefully it's not tied to trials wins. Hopefully just playing in the damn thing is enough. But no, I mean, I fully expect everything to be come into play here when it comes to these catalysts.
Yeah, I think they're going to span the gamut here. Trials is up in the air. I'm not sure if they would tie anything to that just because there's no specific exotics tied to Trials right now. There is something like the Legend of Acreus tied to the raid. So I think it's a safe assumption that you would have to do something in the raid in order to gain the Acreus catalyst. So, but yeah, I'm going to be curious to see what they do with this, man. And also on this, a couple other things to note here. Exotic Masterwork weapon pursuits only need to be done once per account. Through the Masterwork process, duplicate drops of an exotic weapon, so via engrams, milestones, or even the exotic collection, will be initialized at your current Masterwork upgrade state. The exotic Masterwork process takes place fully in the weapon detail screen, so there won't be any objectives that take up inventory space, which brings me to another thing. They're adding a pursuits tab. This is another small quality of life change. But you know how a lot of the exotic quests in Destiny 2 took up an inventory slot in our guns?
Yep.
It is incredibly annoying.
Yes.
Like, we still have the Legend of Acreus quest in our slot because we haven't finished the raid yet. So they're going to move these things in the future into this pursuit tab. So any of these type of quests that are ongoing will no longer take up an inventory slot. It will be on a brand new slot on your inventory screen. So that's awesome. Not all Masterworks will be available immediately when Season 3 begins. If you inspect an exotic weapon and a Masterwork socket is not visible, the catalyst is not yet available, so keep that in mind. We won't be publishing guides on how to acquire specific exotic Masterworks. This is in your hands. So Bungie laying it all out on the table there, Brent. Super excited, man, to see what we're going to do with exotic Masterworks. And on that note, a couple more things or a couple more weapons were revealed as a part of the exotic preview that Bungie's been dangling in front of our face. So we talked about the tractor cannon, Hardlight, Borealis, and the things that they're doing with those. Tractor cannon getting that pretty cool, void debuff on enemies. Hardlight being able to switch right from the reload button, the element type. Borealis getting a substantial damage buff when you kill an enemy with the matching shield type. So some cool stuff going on with those. But we saw this week Risk Runner, Sweet Business, and Darcy. So Risk Runner, as we know, will now have its perks activated in PvP. So many people,
awesome.
Many people already run with machine guns in PvP right now because their time to kill is second to none in close quarters. So people run up on you with those. If they get the drop on you, you're dead. There's no way that you'll be able to survive. So a lot of people already use these. And with Risk Runner, with the perks active, if you get hit by arc damage, like that, the damage is reduced by 50%. And then you activate your, what's it called, Arc Reactor perk. You start dealing extra damage to enemies.
Or Arc Conductor.
Arc Conductor.
Yeah.
So that could be nasty, dude. In the right hands in Crucible, that thing's doing some damage. And then from there, we saw sweet business. My gosh, sweet business. So, sweet business, a very unique auto rifle. It's basically like walking around with a chain gun attached to your hip. So
Hmm.
it was already unique in the way that it functioned. But now, what people love about sweet business is the ammo and how the thing just fires and fires and just lets off tons of rounds. Like that's the exciting part about using sweet business. So what they've done is why not beef that part of the gun up? So they've put 999 rounds as the maximum amount of rounds you can now have available for sweet business. So they maxed out the ammo count for sweet business for people that want to just keep firing. And when they showed off sweet business in the video, Brent, not only did they show off the 999 rounds, but they showed it with the Warlock Lunafaction boots with which auto reload your weapons.
That's
So
nuts.
standing there with 999 rounds and auto reloading your weapon, we watched Sweet Business single-handedly eviscerate a fallen walker in a matter of a few seconds. And it was pretty impressive. There's also a Titan chest piece that auto reloads your guns as well, so
Oh,
that'll
okay.
be compatible with this. I'm not sure what the hunters have in terms of auto reload. I'd have to
Well, they,
check
they're
that out.
they're just helping out the classes that are obviously much weaker than the hunters. So
Oh, is that what was going
yeah,
on? Okay. Wow. I'm glad you cleared that up for us.
no problem.
Um, so we saw Risk Runner, we saw Sweet Business, and then Darcy. This is that kind of um, computerized sniper rifle. What this thing will do now is when you lock on the target, you get a 4 times damage boost. 4 times. This is a sniper rifle.
Yeah.
You get a 4 times damage boost when you lock on to enemies. This thing melts bosses now. This is a boss melter. So I anticipate this one being very, very popular in raid runs and, Nightfall runs and that kind of stuff. Darcy going to be getting some use for sure. So yeah, so that's in addition to all the other exotics we've seen and all the other cool things that we've talked about with the exotic weapons. So Brent, wrapping up the exotic conversation, what are you most looking forward to getting your hands on, man, with the exotic guns? What one's really calling to you?
I like hard light. I like hard light a lot. I like the double damage off the ground. But man, I never really used Sweet Business. I mean, I have it. I liked it, but I never was like I really have to play this thing a lot. Now, if I would definitely consider it. I would definitely make sure I have it in my inventory. But Risk Runner is a gun that I really like to use in PvP or in PvE. But now I have more of a reason to keep it attached in PvP as well. I really like the Risk Runner. I think that's an awesome gun. It works fantastic in PvE, especially in some of the Nightfalls. The Pyramidion for one, and the final level, it works out
Yeah.
great. But to have it have like some really good value in PvP, the Risk Runner is what I'm really looking forward to wielding more and more.
Yeah, I think for me, when it's all said and done, I think I'm still the first one I pull out of the vault is probably the Graviton Lance.
Oh yeah.
Just it's a gun that looks awesome, has a wicked sound when you fire it.
Yep.
Always had the potential to be a really cool gun. Just wasn't quite there at launch. But now with the way that they're changing it and the way that they've completely just overhauled the way that gun works, I'm really looking forward to pulling that one out for the first time and just blowing up some enemies
Hell yeah.
in and out of in the PvE and PvP. So, but yeah, I mean, would you say that bar none, that is the thing that we're looking forward to most in season 3 is everything that's going on with the crucible weapon or the exotic weapons?
Yeah, the exotics this is the big change. I mean, this is going to make exotics truly exotic. It's going to make them guns that not everybody has. I mean, everyone has them, but not with the abilities they have, especially with the Masterworks stuff. I want to touch on a question that Jacob asked a while back, but he said, "Do you ever think there'll be a time where we can equip more than one exotic weapon or gear, like on your character?" And, I don't know. I don't think I'd want that, especially with the changes that we're seeing here now with the exotics becoming so powerful. I wouldn't want it in PvE, but I think it'd be a pretty sweet mode in PvP if you could go in with all exotic gear and armor. I mean, just to think of a mode like that would be straight chaos. I mean, you could just remove supers if you want to, like make supers real slow, but let everyone rock like exotic everything. I think that'd be an awesome PvP mode.
That actually would be really cool, man. That's a good idea. Like to see Bungie try something like that. A lot of people have requested some of these like weird modes over the years. Like we saw the Prometheus lens when that thing was going crazy in the Crucible.
Right, yeah.
Like people have requested a lasers only playlist where you just go in there and you just laser people, and kind of bring back what people liked about that week with Prometheus lens there. But yeah, that would be awesome, dude. If there was a Crucible mode where everybody was just exoticed out.
Oh, that'd be sweet.
Yeah, but I'm with you though. I don't think we'll ever see like a normal mode where you equip more than one exotic, and nor would I want to, because I want exotics to be exotic. Like I want them to be so powerful that putting more than one on your character would just ruin the game. Like that's the kind of feel I want these exotics to have. So yeah, let's keep it one exotic weapon, one exotic piece of armor, but let's make these things so badass that we don't want to even entertain the option of using another gun because these things are so cool.
Right.
So yeah, exotics, big part of what we're going to be diving into tomorrow when Warmind hits. A close second, Brent, I think, in terms of what's coming with Season 3 is the Crucible. And we've spent a lot of time in Crucible with Destiny 2. We've talked about it. I really enjoy the Crucible. I know you've started to not started to, you've always enjoyed it, but I know you really enjoy the Crucible that we're playing in Destiny 2 right now as well. We've had a lot of fun with Iron Banner specifically. Iron Banners is a blast right now with the 6v6. So I'd be very shocked if we don't see some more 6v6 modes coming down the line during Season 3 here. But the big changes with Season 3 is the seasonal Crucible ranks. This is going to fundamentally change the way that we focus on and grind in the Crucible and Destiny, because there are real tangible rewards attached to these ranks. So once again, the Valor rank is obtained from the Quick Play playlist. A few bullet points for this. So Valor caps out at 2,000 rank points. It features win streak bonus points. It can be reset when fully completed with no cap on resets per season. It resets each season. Has ornament, emblem, and weapon rewards. So this is very important. Ornament, emblem, and weapon rewards. Weapon rewards will be available as part of the Valor playlist. Requires a fixed number of Valor resets to earn some rewards. I'd imagine there's probably going to be some cool stuff attached to how many times you can quote-unquote prestige your Valor in this game. And this playlist is featured in Quick Play, Rumble, and Mayhem. Glory. This caps out at 5,500 rank points. This is, of course, focused on the competitive playlist. This is the like sweaty palms version of the Crucible. Yeah. So caps out at 5,500 rank points, features win streak bonus points, but also adds loss streak penalties for recurring losses, which is absolutely brutal. Players can earn bonus rank points or fend off decay by completing 3 competitive matches each week. Only resets each season. Has ornament, emblem, and weapon rewards. So once again, all 3 categories available with Glory as well. Features unique seasonal chase weapon that can be earned at Fabled level, about 40% of the way through your journey in Glory ranks. So that's really not too bad when you think about it. Only 40% up the ladder.
Well, see, when they first talked about this, when they said Fabled, I assumed Fabled was like the pinnacle. That was it. Yeah. But like you mentioned, it's only about 40% of the way up. I mean, what is it? After that, it's Legendary is the top one.
Mythic and then Legendary.
Mythic and Legendary. So that's cool. Yeah, like you said, I mean, it's going to be a grind. It's going to be difficult, but it's not unattainable. It's not going to be like the creme de la creme. I'm sure there's something sitting at Legendary waiting for the creme de la creme. But at least if you commit to it and you do well, you have a pretty good chance of being able to hit that weapon there at Fabled.
Yeah, and at that Legendary level, you actually earn an ornament for Redrix's Claymore, which is the reward for hitting the Fabled level. But in addition to that, there's something very special that Bungie's not telling us. Yeah. Another part of the allure of reaching Legend. And man, when they dangle that carrot, you're like, man, I really want to get the Legend and see what's there now.
Oh, yeah.
And this weapon looks killer, dude. Redrix's Claymore looks intense. They've shown some brief video clips of this thing. This thing rips. I mean, it's got a special perk that works with Outlaw that only this gun has, and it makes this thing fire super fast and doesn't lose any of its impact. And this thing's going to be an absolute monster in the hands of the right person in the Crucible. I mean, they will be unstoppable if you wield this weapon properly. So this is a very, very appealing gun, and this thing's going to be nasty in PvE as well. So this is a super appealing gun that everybody's going to want to get their hands on, and that's really, really cool that this is part of the Crucible playlist now. So you're damn sure, Brent, that we are going to be on the Crucible. We're going to be grinding competitive, a tracker-free competitive, trying to get Redrix's Claymore and add it to our repertoire. And of course, private matches also coming to the Crucible as well, which is something that may have slipped through the cracks here, but that is legitimately a thing that's coming.
That'd be cool if, like, if in private matches you could set how many exotics you could equip. That'd be cool if that'd be added into the options. Jacob, you could hop in there maybe in private matches at some point. They'll let you change the rules on exotics.
I would be. It'd be great to see that stuff. So there's we talked about a lot of the stuff that's coming to season 3. There's something else though, Brent, that we don't know anything about yet, and that's seasonal vendor progression.
Mm-hmm.
It's still on the roadmap here. Bungie hasn't talked about this at all, so I'm actually really curious when faction rallies come back to see what they're going to be doing with those, and or just what they're going to be doing with the vendors in general in season 3. I'm just curious. You have any idea or thoughts about what you'd want to see from the vendors?
For vendors in terms of like seasonal rank, maybe just because like typically right now if you get something from a vendor, it's not nearly as high as your power level, right? Like I mean, it's not really super useful, but that'd be kind of cool if you as you rank them up over the season, like you get better gear from them, where you don't have to worry about finding stuff to infuse into it. Maybe get better gear along the way as you rank them up. But I can't think of anything else, man.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what they come up with there. I'm not sure, what their plans are with it, but I don't really have any like great ideas or whatever with that. Mm-hmm. But I'm just curious with the way they're changing a lot of stuff in this game. I'm curious to see what becomes of it. So, awesome. So also Brent, one of the final things we're gonna mention as a part of Warmind here is the new raid layer, Spire of Stars.
Mm-hmm.
Now, still to this day, we have not finished the Leviathan raid.
Ugh.
Still to this day,
shame.
We have not stepped
For shame.
foot in the Eater of Worlds raid layer, and now we have another raid layer on top of it. Dude, can we please stack hands on this? That we are going in season 3, going to complete some raid activities and get some of these things under our belt, so that we can experience what for many of us was the greatest part of Destiny 1. We have still not even done that in Destiny 2. 150 hours in, Brent. We haven't done a damn raid. That's inexcusable for us, dude.
Yeah, it's more or less just being able to find time to get 6 people together and schedules matching up. I mean, it's not so much that we don't want to. It's just it's been very difficult to find the perfect time to really set aside and knock it out. But it's from what we played the couple times we did try. It's an awesome raid. I mean, I really enjoyed it. So it'll be curious to see if we can actually get into this thing and knock it out. Yeah.
People really like it. They're doing some things with guided games this season as well with the raids. So I mean, if we have to, man, we'll just guided games it and just make it happen. But we are going to do some raid content in season 3. Mark my words on this. And to those of you eagerly anticipating the next part of the Leviathan raid, the final part of the Leviathan raid, Spire of Stars, it will launch Friday, May 11th at 10 a.m. Pacific time. So at 1 p.m. Eastern, you can hop in there, experience Spire of Stars, and try to be world first to complete that. So just a few days after Warmind is released, once again, just shows you the hardcore Destiny community. There's going to be people that are going to be at 385 ready to get into the Spire of Stars on Friday, May 11th. Maybe not 385. I mean, I guess. Do you think there'll be people that'll be at 385 on Friday?
There'll be people. There'll be somebody at 385.
There'll be somebody.
Somebody. Seriously, there are going to be people on Tuesday at 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock when this thing drops. They're not going to work the rest of the week. They're not going to class. They're just going to play Destiny 2. And there will be people that'll be at the max level.
Gotcha. So Spire of Stars, Friday, 10 a.m. Pacific time. Now, to some of the nitty-gritty nuts and bolts that you guys are wondering about for Destiny 2. So, starting at 6 a.m. Pacific time tomorrow, as we're recording this, Destiny 2 server maintenance is scheduled to begin. So, you will no longer be able to sign into Destiny 2 at that point. At 7 a.m., players still in Destiny 2 activities will be returned to the title screen, and Warmind and Update 1.2.0 will be available to download and install. At 11 a.m. or 2 p.m. Eastern time for us, Brent, Destiny 2 server maintenance is scheduled to conclude, and Destiny hotfix 1.2.0.1 will also be available to download and install. So there'll be a small hotfix to download and install as well. In terms of storage requirements, PlayStation 4 owners will need 71 gigabytes of storage space. after which 53 will be dedicated to Destiny once all is said and done. Xbox One owners will need 50 gigabytes of storage space, and PC owners will need 68 gigabytes of storage space, after which Destiny will take up 48 gigabytes of space for all you out there. So that is the nitty-gritty nuts and bolts of the Warmind update. So just to recap all this, Brent. So everything we talked about here that's coming with Warmind. Brand new story campaign. Brand new destination on the polar ice caps of Mars. A seeming host of new secrets for players to discover and explore.
Mm-hmm.
A new ritual activity in the Escalation Protocol. A new relic weapon in the Valkyrie. New strikes in Strange Terrain, Will of the Thousands, and Insight Terminus, as well as all of the upgrades they're making to Prestige Nightfall strikes and the Heroic strikes. The wealth of exotic changes coming through the exotic weapon pass as well as exotic Masterworks. All of the changes to the Crucible, specifically with the Crucible ranking system, and all of the new items and Redrix's Claymore that's going to be available to us. All the small little details here and there, like the quality of life stuff with the vault space improvements, the emote wheel, all that kind of stuff, and a brand new raid layer in Spire of Stars. All of this is what will be coming to you with Warmind with this upcoming update that we are, 14 hours away from playing at this point?
Yes, sir.
So Brent, just to wrap this up and put a bow on it, man. What's your final kind of thoughts on Warmind here, dude?
Dude, I just want a deep story. I want a challenging campaign. I want Escalation Protocol to be that one mode that I want to hit up every single night, whether or not we win or lose. I just want to get in there, knock it out, and get this gear, fight these awesome bosses, find the time that I need to get into the raid with you guys. And just, like I said, man, I'm just all about the mystery, exploring, and the grind. And that's all I want, and that's what it sounds like we're going to get here. We're going to be back to that grind, getting stuff, the exotic weapons, the catalysts, all that jazz, dude. I'm hyped for all this, man. I am so ready for tomorrow to hit.
Yeah. I'm super excited, man. Like I'm giddy right now to get in here and start earning some of this stuff. And just everything we've talked about here, dude. The mystery, like you said, the grind, like grinding through the Crucible, grinding for the exotic catalysts, grinding to get these data collections, like whatever, grinding through the Escalation Protocol to get some of these sweet weapons, which all have unique perks on them as well that will help you throughout Escalation Protocol. Like all of this stuff is things we've been asking for, things that we enjoyed in Destiny 1 that we want to get out of Destiny 2. And it seems like Warmind will be another step in that direction. In fact, it seems like it will be the biggest step in that direction yet of bringing us to the place that we want to be with Destiny 2 as a hobbyist-focused activity. So everything that we've seen, Brent, I'd be very surprised if this doesn't deliver at least a little bit in terms of what we want to see from this game. I'm incredibly excited about the things we've been talking about here on Warmind. I just want this game now. I want to get out there and play it. I want to be playing War. Like, I want to wrap this up and I want to play Warmind right now, but I can't.
We got to go do Iron Banner things. We got to work on your ornament.
Got to finish up season 2 of Iron Banner here. So, Brent, that is going to wrap up this special episode of Tower Talk. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope everybody is ready for Warmind now. We kind of laid it all out there, but make sure you're following us at the Short Pause. It's how you can keep up with us. It's how you'll know when Tower Talk goes live and everything else that we do. Make sure you're subscribing to the YouTube channel, liking the videos, leaving comments, hopping in like Jacob, and communicating with us like Tone and these guys, and giving us your feedback. And we'd love to hear from you guys, talk to you guys. Our Twitter handle is right underneath us here. So take a look at that. The dude 1979, Piccolo 930. www.shortpause.com is the website. You can see some of the other stuff that we do on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. Other than that, Brent, anything else?
I think that's it, dude. I think that wraps up, and I'm done talking about it. I just want to play it.
Awesome. Well, I'm ready to play as well. So we will see you Guardians out on the battlefield. If you are not yet a Short Pause Guardian and you want to be, make sure you reach out to us. We'll add you to the clan. The clan we expect to be pretty active in the upcoming Warmind expansion. So if you want to join an active clan that's ready to get down and dirty with everything that's coming with Warmind, make sure you shoot us a message so we can get you in here. But that is going to do it for us. We'll see you guys next time on Tower Talk. Keep it locked in here to Short Pause. We'll see you guys in Warmind tomorrow night.
See you guys later. Have a good night.
Adios.
Do you copy? The most dangerous weapon in this system is on this planet, and an entire army of Hive is trying to destroy it. This is a war of many fronts, and there's more than one way to fight it.
Do you think Rasputin is the answer? It's a broken weapon, too dangerous to be left alone and too unpredictable to wield. Rasputin was not the only thing to awaken on Mars. Get the